Today we are going to solve O-Level Physics 5054 Paper 1 Variant 1 October-November 2016 and questions from 21 to 40. From question 1 to 20 we have already solved. Now we will move to question number 21. Question number 21. A phone rings and lights up. Which types of wave are associated with the phone's operation? Okay, here phone rings means here is sound wave and sound waves are longitudinal waves. Lights up, lights are electromagnetic waves and electromagnetic waves are transverse waves. So sound waves, phone rings means it is longitudinal and it is transverse. And it is given in the option C. Light waves are transverse waves, sound waves are longitudinal waves. So option C is correct one. Question number 22. The diagram shows the surface of water as a wave passes across a ripple tank, which length represents the amplitude and the wavelength of the wave. Amplitude is the vertical distance from the mean position to the peak position. So Q will represent the amplitude. What about the wavelength? Wavelength is a distance in between two consecutive crests or in between two consecutive trough or one crest and one trough. Here for the one crest and one trough distance is given P, so P is the wavelength. Now amplitude is Q and wavelength is P and it is given in the option A, amplitude Q, wavelength P, so option A is correct one. Question number 23. The angle of incidence of ray OP on the plane mirror MN is 40 degree. The mirror is rotated through 10 degree as shown by the dashed line. The direction of the incident ray OP does not change. What is the new angle of incidence? Here we have a plane mirror MN. It is normal. It is incident ray and the angle in between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence and it is given 40 degree. Now it is given that this mirror MN is tilted at an angle of 10 degree. When this mirror MN will be tilted at an angle of 10 degree, this normal will also move at an angle of 10 degree because normal is always at right angle to the plane. Now what is asked? What is the new angle of incidence? Now this angle of incidence before tilting the mirror was 40 degree. After tilting the mirror, normal is moved at an angle of 10 degree. So the new angle of incidence will be equal to 40 plus 10. It will be equal to 50 degree and 50 degree is given in the option C. So new angle of incidence will be 50 degree. Question number 24. A ray of light is incident on the surface of a glass block. The diagram is not drawn to scale. The refractive index of glass is 1.5. The angle of refraction is R. The angle between the refracted ray and the path the light takes without the glass block is D. Okay, what are R and D? Okay, it is asked, we have to find out the value of R and the value of this angle D. Okay, this angle R, it is angle of refraction and in the topic of refraction we have studied that refractive index is given as sine of angle of incidence over sine of angle of refraction. Now here this angle, this is incident ray, it is normal. So the angle in between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence. So angle of incidence is given 36 degree. Refractive index is given here, it is 1.5. So by solving this one, we will get R is equal to 23 degree. Now here this R is angle of refraction. So angle of refraction R is equal to 23 degree. Now here what about the angle D? Here we are looking that this line is in a straight line. Now whatever be the angle here, the same angle will be equal to R plus D. This R plus D, this total angle will be equal to 36 degree. Now we have calculated angle of refraction. So whatever be the angle here, what is the angle here? That is 36 degree. we have to subtract the value of R from this 36 degree to get the answer D, to get the angle D. So D will be equal to 36 degree minus this angle of refraction, and it is a angle of incidence is 36 degree, angle of refraction is 23 degree. Now by solving this one, we will get the value of D, that is 13 degree. So R is 23 degree and this D is 13 degree, and it is given in the option C that R is 23 degree and D is 13 degree. So option C is correct one. Question number 25. In the diagram, a convex lens forms an image I of an object O. Okay, it is image I of this object O. The diagram is not drawn to the scale. What is the focal length of the lens? Okay, here we are looking, this ray is moving in parallel with the principal axis, and the ray that is in parallel with the principal axis, after passing the lens, it is passed through a point that is called focus. Now the distance in between the principal focus and the center of the lens is called focal length. So from this point to this point, it will be focal length, and it is given here, it is 20 centimeter. So 20 centimeter is the correct option, and it is given in the option B. So option B is correct option. B is correct one. Question number 26. A lens is used to produce a magnified image as shown in the scale diagram. Here it is image, it is object. What is the linear magnification produced by the lens? Okay, linear magnification is a ratio in between the image height and the object height. It is image height and it is object height. So to calculate the magnification, what we have to do? We have to divide the height of the image by height of the object. Now if you measure the height, this image will be 3 times, this height of the image will be 3 times of this object. So magnification will be equal to 3 over 1, or 3 over 1 will be equal to 3, and it is given in the option B. So option B is correct one. Question number 27. Blue and yellow are colors in the visible spectrum. Which color has the lower frequency and which color has the longer wavelength? Okay, light consists of 7 colors. Visible spectrum consists of 7 colors. These 7 colors are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. When we move from violet towards the red, frequency decreases and wavelength increases. Which color has the lower frequency? Okay, blue and yellow. Now we are looking, blue has more frequency and yellow has less frequency. So lower frequency is for yellow. Now yellow is given in option C and D. So we have the possible options C and D. Now second thing is asked, longer wavelength. When we are moving from violet towards the red, wavelength is increasing. So longer wavelength will be for yellow, and it is given in the option D. So option D is the correct option. Question number 28. Which two types of electromagnetic radiations are both used to kill cancerous cells and are both used to detect cracks in metals? Okay, in the topic of electromagnetic spectrum, we have studied that gamma rays and X-rays are used to kill the cancerous cells and to detect cracks in metals, and it is given in the option B. So option B is the correct option. Question number 29. Which property of a sound wave increases as the loudness of the sound increases? Okay, loudness of the sound depends on amplitude. With the increase in amplitude, loudness increases, and with the decrease in amplitude, loudness decreases. So loudness depends on amplitude. It is given in the option A. So option A is correct one. Question number 30. Delicate instruments are often placed in a box to screen them from stray magnetic field. What is the material used for the box and why is it chosen? Okay, we normally keep our instruments in a soft iron box. Why we keep it in soft iron box? Because iron is a magnetic material. If it is exposed to magnetic field, then the lines of force will not pass through the instrument. It will pass through the iron box and it will keep safe our instrument. So our correct option is option D. Soft iron is used because it is magnetic material. Question number 31. A positively charged metal sphere is placed midway between two positively uncharged metal rods, one of which is connected to earth. Which diagram shows the charges on the rods? Here we have a positively charged metal sphere, so it will attract the negative charges. Now in option A, it is shown that it is attracting positive charges, so it is not possible. Option B, it is attracting negative charges. Yes, it is possible option. In option C, also attracting negative charges, it is also possible. In option D, on one side it is attracting positive charge, on the second side it is attracting negative charge, so it is also not possible. Now our possible options are B and C only. Now in B and C, we are looking, there is one difference. In C, the point where it is earthed, here is positive charge, and here where it is earthed, there is no charge. Since it is earthen, so whatever be the deficiency of the electrons, that electron will be transferred by the earth. So here there should be no charge. So our correct option is option B. Suppose if it is not earthen, then this option will be the correct option. Here will be positive charge and it will not be earthed. Now here in our case, option B is correct one. It will attract the negative charges and the point where it is earthed, there will be no charge because whatever be the deficiency of the electron, it will be supplied by the earth. So option B is correct one. Question number 32. A current carrying wire lies between the poles of two magnets as shown. What is the direction of the force on the wire? Here we have magnet, north pole, south pole. So lines of force will start from the north pole and move toward the south pole. Here direction of the current is given. It is in the downward direction. Okay, first we check this one. This topic is related to Fleming left hand rule. What is Fleming left hand rule? This first finger represents magnetic lines of force starting from north pole and moving toward the south pole. This second finger represents the direction of the electrical current. But one thing you should remember that this current is conventional current. Conventional current means current because of flow of positive charges. And this thumb represents the direction of the force. Now here, in our case, it is asked what is the direction of the force? Direction of the magnetic lines of force is given. Direction of the electrical current is given and we have to find out the direction of the force. So by applying the Fleming's left hand rule, we can easily find the direction of the force and it will be out of the plane of the paper that is given in the option B. So our correct option is option B. Okay, you should remember that here the current, it is not conventional current. It is not written here conventional current. So here current is because of flow of negative charges. And when the current is because of flow of negative charges, the direction of this finger will be in the opposite direction. So by using Fleming's left hand rule, we can find out the direction of the force and it will be out of the plane of the paper. Question number 33. A coil P of N turns is made from a length L of wire. The coil carries a current I when between two magnetic fields. A similar coil Q of 2N turns is made from a length of 2L of identical wire. It also carries a current I when between the two magnetic poles. Which coil has the greater resistance and which coil experiences the greater turning effect? Okay, here it is given a similar coil Q of 2 N turns. 2 N turns mean number of turns are increased. When the number of turns will be increased, there will be greater turning effect. So we can say in coil Q, there will be greater turning effect because here number of turns is increased. Now, second thing, here in the coil Q, length is also increased by two times. Length is now 2L. With the increase in length, resistance will be increased. Because we have studied a formula, R is equal to rho L over A. So in accordance to this formula, with the increase in length, resistance will be increased. So we can say greater turning effect will be in coil Q and also the greater resistance will be in coil Q. And it is given in the option D that greater resistance in Q, greater turning effect is also in Q. So option D is correct option. Question number 34. A magnet moves up and down above a coil of wire. The bottom of the magnet moves up and down between P and R. Where is the bottom of the magnet when there is no induced electromotive force in the coil? Here we have a bar magnet. This bar magnet is attached with a spring. This bar magnet is vibrating because of the elasticity in the spring. During vibration, when this bar magnet is at point P, it will be at rest. When it will be at point Q, it will be moving with the maximum velocity. And when it will be at R, it will be again at rest. It is vibrating up and down. So when the bar magnet will be at position P and at position R, it will be at rest. And when it will be at position Q, it will be moving with the maximum velocity. This topic is related with Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. In the topic of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, we have studied that when we are moving this magnet towards the solenoid or we are moving this magnet away from the solenoid, there will be an induced EMF in the coil. When this magnet is at rest, then there will be no induced EMF. Now here we are looking that when this magnet is vibrating up and down, at point P it is at rest, at point R it is at rest, and when it is at point Q it is moving with the maximum velocity. So when it is at point P and at point R there will be no induced EMF. Now here what is asked? It is asked where is the bottom of the magnet when there is no induced electromotive force. So the bottom of the magnet will be at position P and at position R when there is no electromotive force. And it is given in the option B. So option B is the correct option. Question number 35. Which material is most suitable for the core of a transformer and which material is most suitable for the coils in the transformer? Okay, here we have two columns, material for core, material for coils. Material for core, it is given iron in the option A, in option B iron, and in option C and D it is steel. Now we have to choose whether iron is better or steel is better. Whether we have to use iron or we have to use steel for the core of transformer. Transformer works on the principle of electromagnetism. Electromagnetism means it is not a permanent magnet, it is a temporary magnet. And we have studied that for temporary magnet we use soft iron and for permanent magnet we use steel. So here for the core of transformer we have to use iron. Now iron is given in option A and B. It means either A is correct or B is correct. Now we will check material for the coil. Now here in the option A it is given copper, in the option B it is given steel. Now for the material for coils in the transformer we have to choose a material that is a better conductor. Now here if we compare steel and copper, copper is better conductor than steel. So for the coils we have to use copper, and for the core of the transformer we have to use iron, and it is given in the option A. So option A is correct one. Question number 36. The diagram shows a cathode ray tube. The dotted line shows the path of a beam of electrons. This dotted line, it shows the path of beam of electrons. The beam hits the screen at point X. The beam hits at this point X and produces a bright spot. P and Q are horizontal plates. This P and Q are horizontal plates on each sides of the beam. Which change will move the bright spot to a different position on the screen? Okay, now we will check our options. Option A, apply a voltage between metal plates P and Q. Yes, it is the correct option. Here the beam is moving in a straight line. If we change the voltage in between P and Q, either we decrease or we increase the voltage, these electrons will not move in a straight line. They will deflect either in the upper direction or in the downward direction. So if we have to change the position of the bright spot on the screen, we have to change the voltage in between P and Q. Or we can say we have to apply a voltage in between metals plate P and Q. So option A is correct one. Question number 37. The table gives the color code used for making resistors. What is the resistance of the resistor in the diagram? Here for this resistor we have to find out the value of this resistor. Here it is given yellow color, then violet, then orange. This first color it is called band 1, second one is called band 2, third one is called band 3, and this third one is also known as multiplier. Okay, here first one it is yellow. For yellow, what is the value? 4. So for yellow we will write 4. For the second color violet, violet is given here 7. So next digit will be 7. Now it is 47. Now what about the orange? It is third band. It is called multiplier. Multiplier is written in zeros. What is meant by zeros? Here for the orange it is given 3. We will not write 3. We will write here 3 zeros. So our answer will be, our value will be 47,000. So the value of this resistance is 47,000 and it is given in the option D. So option D is the correct option. Suppose in place of orange, if it is written green, then what we will do? Then we will write 5 zeros because it is given here 5. So we have to write here 5 zeros. If it is color blue, then we will not write 6. We will write here 6 zeros. Okay, now here it is orange color and for the orange it is 3. It means we have to write 3 zeros. So our answer is 47,000 ohms. And 47,000 ohms is in option D. So our correct option is option D. Question number 38. Which types of radiation may be emitted by radioactive nuclei? In the topic of radioactivity, we have studied that radioactive substances emit out three types of rays that are alpha, beta and gamma rays. Now here in the option A, it is given beta and gamma. In option B, it is given microwaves and infrared. In option C, radio waves and microwaves. Option D, ultraviolet and X-rays. So our correct option is option A, beta and gamma. Here alpha is not written, but in other options neither alpha nor beta nor gamma is written. So our other options are not possible. Option A is the best option. So correct option is A, beta and gamma. Question number 39. A freshly made sample of radioactive material gives a count rate of 8,000 counts per minute. After 20 days, it gives a count rate of 500 counts per minute. What is the half-life of the material? For the half-life, we have a formula minus 0.693 into T over log of N over N naught, where this N is the number that is after 20 days. This N naught is the current number, current amount, current count that is given here 8,000. This T is the time when we have to calculate the half-life, means 20 days. Now we have to substitute the values here and by substituting the values we got the answer half-life is equal to 5 days. And 5 days is given in the option B, so our correct option is option B. Question number 14. Which number is always equal to proton number of a neutral atom of a radioactive isotope? Okay, what is meant by isotope? Isotope means same atomic number but different mass number. What is atomic number? Atomic number is number of proton or number of electron. And in a neutral atom, always number of proton is equal to number of electrons. Now we will check our options. Option A, the number of electrons in the atom. Yes, it is the correct option because in a neutral atom, whatever be the number of protons, same will be the number of electrons. So our correct option is option A. Okay, today we have completed 5054 paper 1 variant 1 October November 16. Thank you very much.